Hey, what's going on, everybody? Griffin Gaming RPG, and welcome back. It is Thursday. Today is September the 7th, first week of September. In my squeaky chair, I need to put some WD-40 on it. But hi, everybody. It's good to see you again. Thank you for joining me today for a little bit of conversation on Star Citizen. And as you can see from the title this week, which I was making sure that I would remember to change ahead of time, we're going to talk a little bit about Starfield as well. But you know, the show is really about Star Citizen and getting the community's thoughts on where things are. We've been doing that over the last few weeks on Thursday. As you guys know, Thursday is also Thursday Therapy. BSL, what's up, buddy? How are you? Good to see you, man. This is our time where we really get to share together and talk together. Thursday show in particular, you guys can come in and talk to me and give me your thoughts on some of the topics that I have. But I hope you guys are having a great week. We are just about how many weeks short? 6 weeks short, maybe, of CitizenCon, roughly. We're really looking forward to being able to be there, or I'm looking forward to being there. Again, it's been some years, but I'm looking forward to meeting and greeting so many people and having just a great time hanging out with other like-minded backers of Star Citizen. Yeah, everyone knows that. Everyone knows the squeaky chair gets a +1 to comfortability. I appreciate the D&D reference in there too. I thought you were going to say the squeaky chair gets the grease, actually, but yeah, I'll go with the +1 comment. But anyway, thank you guys for being here with me today. Before we get into some of the Star Citizen stuff, I got actually quite a bit of stuff to try and squeeze into the time that we have today. I've been kind of just observing what's been going on in the gaming community. As some of you guys know, I've talked about the fact that I've been playing Baldur's Gate with some friends and have been really enjoying the departure of playing with, first of all, a different group of people. No offense to the people I play with all the time, but playing with a different group of people just gives me just a break away from everything that's based around Star Citizen, which takes up a lot of my time. So it's nice to get the mental break and have a great time hanging out with some friends, which is really nice. But playing the game, I've been playing Baldur's Gate. It was interesting to see that there had been a lot of commentary in the gaming community about Baldur's Gate. Well, first, a lot of the comment was positive. A lot of people were saying how much they had been enjoying the game, that they really appreciated the way the game had turned out and developed, particularly with Baldur's Gate, because it's a well-loved, a beloved franchise. It's been around for a very, very long time. And usually when a game takes literally decades, been around that long, you start to wonder whether or not it can still sustain or even draw more people into the franchise. And Baldur's Gate has kind of done that. I grew up on Baldur's Gate, the very first one. So it's great to see people who maybe only heard about it being able to play it at a new level, more enhanced, better. It's just really good. That's all I can say. And if you're a D&D player, you'll really, really like the way Baldur's Gate reflects Dungeons and Dragons. But also with it coming out, there was a lot of hubbub. People complaining about, the stories were that there were some people, even developers, that might have been saying that this game was a fluke, that it was one person said an anomaly, that it's a one-off kind of thing, that a game comes off and it's really, really good. And you guys have heard me kind of bark about this before when I talk about me being an old dinosaur in gaming, that I remember when games came out and they were bug-free, well, pretty much bug-free. You felt they were bug-free because back before there was access to the internet, there wasn't like you getting a patch, right? I mean, unless the game was really broken and they may send out a disc or something like that. But in general, developers really, really worked to make sure that games worked. And of course, games have become more complicated over the years. They're not the same games that they were back when we were talking about 8 and 16-bit and 32-bit. They've gotten now 32, 64-bit, and much more advanced, obviously. We're talking back then where something could fit on a few hundred megabytes to now we're talking about games that are over 100 gigabytes. And so understanding that games have grown and things have gotten more involved, especially with the introduction of MMO, where you start having people playing on a massively online experience, people from not only in a local area, but, statewide, nationwide, worldwide. All that brings a whole another level of complexity when it comes to game development, and of course difficulty. So granted, giving all those waivers there to game developers, there's a lot that they have to tackle. But I'm also still a bit, as a consumer, disturbed that we have been slowly accepting whatever comes out because we desire to have it so badly, that we want it so bad that even if it's in a bad state, when it's supposed to be a finished product, when it's supposed to be a completed product, that we are not content. Well, maybe content, maybe that's the word to use. We're satisfied with, as long as we get it in our hands. And we've even taken the attitude of, well, they'll fix it later. They'll patch it later. If there's a major MMO launch, if there's problems with the servers. I remember when New World came out, and I was so excited to play New World. And I remember, a lot of my friends in my org were logging in, and I'd say, oh, what's it like? And they're like, oh, it's taking 6 to 8 hours to load in. And even though there was a bit of, people being upset about it, there was also kind of a bit of, they want to play it so badly that 8 hours was okay, and for me, I was struggling with that. One of the reasons why I was struggling with it is because it was put out by Amazon, major, huge company. It was their first big MMO, I guess, launch. But at the same time, if there's anybody who has the server capability globally to get a game launched with people being able to get into it, it should have been AWS. It should have been Amazon. And, some people waited 12 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours to get out of the queue to get into the game. Anyway, my point of talking about this is that we've come to accept certain things now. Maybe it's because we just kind of figured that's what comes with the turf. I'm not sure if that's what comes with the turf, or it's just the fact that the development companies and the publishers are just not putting in the work at the level that it needs to be, or the quality level. The game may be good, but I'm talking about quality across the board, publishing, distribution, getting it out there so that the consumer feels satisfied when they receive the game. So anyway, I'm moving from that with Baldur's Gate, because Baldur's Gate is considered by many people to be a very, very good game. But then I'm going to move on to Starfield now. And Starfield has had its points of controversy as well as it's come out. So I want to kind of talk about that a little bit. And if you want to give me some feedback in the chat, or if you want to come in and talk to me about it, you can. But I'm asking about this because I'm not picking on Starfield. Believe me, I'm not. I'm looking at what's happening to Starfield, which has been considered by many people a very, very good game. And I'm going to be wondering about, will Star Citizen have to have these same considerations? Will they face these same challenges and hurdles when Squadron 42 comes out? And particularly Squadron 42, I'm not really worried about Star Citizen, the persistent universe. But I am curious as to whether or not these same hurdles may be issues that when Squadron 42 comes out, CIG may be facing, basically having to answer some of the same stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about what some of these things are. And I'm going to get to the Star Citizen stuff in a little bit, so just kind of hang in there with me, gang. But let me go over to this first thing I want to talk about, and I want to ask you guys about this, and you can give me your feedback on this. As again, you always hear Griff say he's an old dinosaur, an old gamer. So, I see articles like this, and I'm going to blow this up for you guys. I have it at my normal reading size, so I know when I stream, it needs to be bigger. So I'm going to make it that big for you. I'm going to make it nice and big. Okay. My question is this. Speed running, right? EOG, end of game, getting to the end of the game, trying to get to the end of the game. I understand the challenge side of speed running to get to the end of the game. I remember a little while ago, I think the first person who got there, it was officially announced, was that they got through Starfield in 2 hours and 40 minutes. Now the game is supposed to be somewhere between 30 to 40 hours for the main story path, right, to go through the main storyline. But someone went through it and they did it in 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I don't know exactly what they did, if it just meant that they, clicked on everything very quickly, didn't pay attention to the commentary because they knew what the person was going to say, blah, 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 blah. But now I'm reading this article today, this morning. Starfield speedrunners battle to clear the RPG in 40 minutes or less. Starfield has been in the hands of savvy speedrunners for days through early access. Now, mind you, today is the 7th. It's the second day since the official launching, but it came out on the 1st, right? And some incredible records are already being broken after setting it. In the quest to find the unique Starfield weapons, you'll need to know Starfield New Games Plus, which opens up plenty of new possibilities. YouTubers are racing through the Starfield missions with amazing pace, collecting many of these rare items along the way. However, if you fancy matching their feats, we recommend studying their videos first. Two Starfield speedrunners are emerging in popularity as YouTubers Mr. Tuscany and Super Scared are impressing Bethesda fans with their record-breaking feats. Super Scared is documenting multiple attempts at beating New Game Plus on their channel, with their first video documenting a speedrun that clocks in just under 1 hour. Following it up, the Starfield fanatic beats a New Game Plus with a 50-minute record until now. The YouTuber's current record is that just set under 41 minutes, which stands at the best attempt at the time of writing. While this is certainly a superb achievement for a YouTuber, they might not be aware of other contender in the speedrun area. So here's my question. Beyond doing it for the sake of lulz and just saying that you did it, what is it that drives players to want to get to end of game so quickly? Maybe you guys can help me out with that. Is it bragging rights to say that I finished the game in, I'm picking a random thing, 20 hours. Well, it's supposed to be 30 to 40. So if I say, I finished it in 10 hours, is that what it is? Is it the bragging rights to it? Is it, I don't know. I'm curious as to what drives players to speed run through a game that's taken 7 to 8 years to produce and that they've waited for and spent, for some people, $100, $70. Well, if you went in early access, you paid $100 just to get through it in 2 hours or 10 hours. Maybe somebody can tell me. I don't know. I'm looking to see if anybody puts anything in chat. If not, I'll make it a rhetorical question, but I am curious, and you guys can put it in the comments on those who watch the video later. But I am curious as to what drives players to speed run, especially when it's the beginning. I'm not talking about like they finished it and now they're just going back to see how fast they can go through it. I'm not talking about that. But there are people who literally come into the game and want to get to end of game very quickly. And I'm curious as to what that's about. Okay, so that's the first question I would ask about. I'm going to go on to the second one here. Second issue that came up about Starfield. And I don't know if people are going to do that with Squadron 42. Maybe they will. I don't know. This is another one here. I mentioned earlier there's been a lot of angst or anger towards Starfield too. As much as there's been way more people who've talked about how much they're enjoying it, there have been people that seem like they're almost nitpicking to a certain degree. This one here, dated August 30th, Starfield hate has gotten so bad, someone is roasting real photos of Mars for its graphics. So this is what is in this particular one. The hate for Starfield has gotten so bad that one non-believer was convinced the actual images of Mars were from Starfield, and now they're being roasted for saying that it had poor graphics. As the new verse from Bethesda in 25 years, with 10 years in development, Starfield has gained a lot of traction, both good and bad, across the wider gaming community. However, the debate about whether the open world RPG will be as good as reached an all-time high or low, depending on which side you're on. One hater was duped into believing authentic images of Mars were real screenshots. Now, granted, some images of Mars in Starfield weren't the best, but the images this person was shown were taken by a NASA rover, so the images were pretty incredible. Unfortunately, this person's Starfield bias showed, as he said, that it had poor graphics. Maybe they had their console or their computer set on low resolution. I don't know. In true Reddit fashion, commenters have been ball roasting Mars for their poor graphics and saying Earth's no better because of 2023 patches were terrible. They weren't wrong. While the situation and the comments are pretty funny, I won't lie, it does bring up a great point that we shouldn't judge Starfield based on leaks that have been splashed across the internet because there will be a day one patch that leaks that may not be 100% accurate. So I don't know, what is it that's making people so critical of these games? You know, we wait for them for a very long time. Here again, they say that Starfield's development cycle was 10 years. Let me see what this goes to here. Though you know the game has been in full development for at least 5 years, 2018. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the teaser was in 2018 and it was at least 5 years at that time. Okay, so yeah. This was as of June of this year when they talked about this. Starfield, blah, 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 blah. We know that for concepts has been around for at least 10 years, starting in 26. It's not 2016 if they're saying 10 years. Oh, development started officially. Oh, concept for it was 10 years. All right, I know concept is a part of development. Okay. So yeah, it's been at least 7 years in, you know, like in the studio they're working on, and they've been thinking about it for at least working on concept stuff for a few years before that. Anyway, what is it that's driving people to have so much angst toward Starfield? Why are backers being so picky? Do you think that things such as I know Unreal really has impressed gamers, and gamers are really looking forward to, you know, all the particle effects and you know, all the things, nanite technology and all this stuff that Unreal has, and they're looking for that. Are we looking for that level of graphics in every game now? Is that what the expectation is? To me, Bethesda has its own style of graphics, if that makes any sense. The way their stuff looks, their characters, their animations, they have a certain look to them. It's not a retro color look, but it's just a certain type of look that looks really, to me, it looks good. And it's their style. And when I look at their game, it looks good. If I look at No Man's Sky has its own like animated look to it, but in that context, it looks good. It's not photorealistic. It looks good for what it is. Starfield, I think it's got some beautiful stuff from what I've seen it. I haven't played it yet because I'm waiting. But what I've seen, it looks beautiful, you know, stuff that I've seen as far as scenery and stuff like that. But I don't feel like it's not Unreal 5, and I'm not looking for it to be Unreal 5. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me what is bringing about all the roasting, all the angst toward. Why are players basically nitpicking at this game over things like that? Let me go to one other point that's gotten raised, and these are things I want to ask about too, because I have heard people say about Star Citizen questions or concerns about whether or not they will be able to keep their graphics up to date. Will they still look state of the art? Will they look good? There are people already who have said that Star Citizen looks aged, looks dated. I've heard several people say that. It doesn't look dated to me. To me, I see where they've improved and continually to do things to enhance the graphics. But there are people who feel that Star Citizen in its current state looks dated. So anyway, we can come back to that as well. All right. If you want to come in, by the way, and don't forget, if you want to share your thoughts in chat, please feel free to do so. I would love to see what you guys think about it. I'm going to go to one other topic that has come up. Let me get past the development one, and let's go here. This was, I don't know, I'm getting actually kind of worn out with this. There was an issue about Starfield's gender controversy. Some people went viral, some gamers went viral and faced ridicule over extreme reactions to pronouns. Will, how are you? I don't think that people aren't being realistic. I don't think you can have the photorealism with the game as big as these space games. Yeah, agreed, Will. The tech to do photorealism at that level is no small task, especially with Unreal 5. We were just talking a few weeks ago about how we haven't seen a real Unreal 5 full-blown AAA game come out yet to see how people's rigs can handle it. We've seen some pretty good demonstrations and some, you know, pretty awesome stuff out there. But, you know, for what the game requires, not just externally, but internally and everything else, I wonder about it. My main critic is that loading screens, instancing have been spoiled. Yeah, Yeah, Elvinthy, that's a great point. I said this before the game came out, that if people were used to Star Citizen, they may have a little bit of griping, because you don't realize how much we've gotten used to the no loading screen thing and just going seamlessly from place to place. It's not just a Star Citizen does that. There are other games that do it too, but Star Citizen does it well, especially when it comes to interiors and exteriors. You just kind of get used to that movement, and it's gotten us, it's retrained our brain, right? Because before, loading screens, we were used to them. They just happen. We give them that few seconds and we jump back in. I know, like right now, I'm playing with Baldur's Gate. We only have loading screens. They're so quick in Baldur's Gate, and they're only at certain points, like maybe an entry point, but it's so quick you don't even think about it. But I know that in space, it translates for us. Yeah, and I'm glad. Like, again, I'm glad people are enjoying the fact that it's a good game. If you've played Bethesda games before, you're used to them, the loading screen isn't a big deal. But if you've never played them, it's a trip. Yeah, we'll see, Alvin Thea, if BG gets it there. It's a contender, right? Some of the contenders for Game of the Year are Hogwarts Legacy is another one that's gotten some pretty good reviews. I'm sure Diablo is going to be another one that's in there. Starfield's going to be in there. So we'll see. We'll see which one is crowned the king. But a lot of good. At least we've got some good contenders this year. That at least it won't be somebody that gets it that we don't feel deserves it. At least I hope not. Let's talk about this Starfield gender controversy. And again, is this a nitpicking thing? I know that there's been especially in the climate here in the United States, there's been a real climate about politics and politics entering games. And there's been there's one side that says, let's keep politics out of games. Because we quite often, especially in the climate that we have right now, people sometimes come to games to get away from all the politics, right? I get that, we don't want to be hearing it 24/7. We're getting blasted on our social media and everything else. Then we come into a game and boom, 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 there's more politics hitting us. We just get really worn out by it. But then there's the aspect of representation as a gamer. And my question becomes, are we making it an issue bigger than it is? And let me give you another example. And I'm going to speak outside of the context of pronouns. I've been gaming now for I'm going to be 60 this month. I'm going to be 60 this month. And I've been gaming since I was probably 10. So that's like 50. Yeah, 73. Yeah, because I was playing like on the Atari, and I was playing on the Odyssey when there was nothing but Pong, right? And then like 3 years later, I go to high school and I'm on a mainframe computer working with punch cards and learning BASIC and all that stuff, and then going through DOS and all that stuff, right? So I've been through a lot of gaming. And over all those years in gaming, I would say that when I played video games, I played them not as an African American person. I played them in the culture of a European. Now, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that's, they were making the games, and like anything else, the people who make things that are more about who they are subconsciously and consciously. So it's not a big thing. And it wasn't until years later in gaming that you started to see diversity start to introduce into games. In fact, most games, when you played them, you're playing as a guy, for example. And a lot of that was because the developers were guys. That's who was making the game. So it's just a natural thing is, hey, I'd like to make a game where I could do this. And so I is me, right? So I get that. My question is, when I play a game, do I look to see if I can make the person black? Yeah, I do. Because like that person who made the game, I want to play the game as me going into that world. And so I want the avatar to reflect me. Sometimes I make the avatar look like me. If I have the capability to do that, I might do that. Sometimes I make the avatar look like someone else. But I do want to be able to find myself in that world, right? So the question becomes, if I were to say, hey, like right now, let's use Star Citizen for example. When I go into Star Citizen and I'm making my character, There is one hairstyle that I can tell myself matches me as an African American. And you know which one it is, right? Well, there's two really. There's the bald one where you're just completely bald, or like you're bald. And there's one with a very, very fine low cut. It looks like when you go into the military and they shave your head down and you just got like the real low thing, right? But technically, that white guys look like that too. So it's not like it, distinguishes me as an African American, but it's close enough for me to psychologically say that, oh, okay, this looks like a black guy. Everything else in there is like from Vidal Sassoon. Okay. It's not something that me as an African American would wear. So yeah, when I play the game, I look forward to being able to go in and make the game reflect who I am, right? Now, in Starfield, my understanding is that there's only one issue or one area where this comes up, and it's at the beginning when someone says, how do you want to put yourself as a pronoun, right? And you want to put yourself as a male or female pronoun. Now, to me, that's not a big deal. It's like, whatever the person wants to put, they can put down, Martian as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. They can put down whatever they want to. That's fine. But there are some people who this really seems to bother them. Now, mind you, there are some people who I honestly believe are doing it for the hits, right? They're doing it to get people to watch them. They're getting people to click on their things so that they can hear themselves go off about this thing just for the sake of hits. But there are some people who genuinely, I think, this bothers them. And my question is this a political situation or is this just representation? Because me being an African American and being in a game has nothing to do with my politics. Absolutely nothing. It does have to do with me just feeling like I'm in that world. I can be in that world, right? And so if someone feels that they want to be called he or she or they or whatever, that's their thing. Is that just representation? Does it change anything about the game just because of that? So that's one of the things I'm kind of curious about. What is it you think that, why is it an issue? Is it an issue? Maybe it's not an issue. Maybe it's just all overblown, and it's just the loudest voices, who are squeaking about it. We're hearing it and everybody else could care less. I don't know. Representation is important. You should be able to be what you want. How you look and what you're called, this choice doesn't affect anyone other person making a character. Elvin, I think the reason why what you said is even more relevant is that in this particular game, it's actually on your computer. It's you playing, just you, right? It's not like you're broadcasting to the world or whatever. I mean, I'm playing Starfield. I'm home by myself. I want to call myself this. Here's something. In Star Citizen, I'd probably say 75 to 80% of the time I play as a female character. Now, why do I play as a female character as a heterosexual male? I play as a female character because I get tired of watching a game with nothing but men running around. I also do it because I like the idea of a female character who's strong and able to do things. In Eve, I used to play, hey, Eminence, good to see you. I know you're working, buddy. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping in, though. I know you're doing your thing. In Eve, I used to play two characters, two accounts, and I used to play a brother and sister. I didn't do two brothers. I did a brother and sister. And my idea was that they were orphans who basically worked together to survive in the universe, and they ran their own mining and cargo company. And that was what they did. And in the game, one character would be mining while the other one would go and get the cargo and haul stuff and go do the trading. And it didn't make a difference who was doing what, right? Sometimes it would be the female character, the sister doing the mining. Sometimes it would be the brother doing the mining. It didn't make a difference. The idea was they were working together as a family in the game. That was it. And when I came to Star Citizen, I actually created two accounts then, because back then I kind of still had the Eve mentality, right? So I was thinking, okay, I'll run the brother and sister thing here again. And then the more I got into it, I was like, oh, I don't need that second account. I'll just do the one account. Which should I do, the male or the female? And at first I was doing the male, and then I changed. I said, no, I like doing the female character because I'm tired of looking at all these dudes running around. So I did the female character, right? But I did it because I wanted to see. I didn't want to live in a universe of nothing but dudes. That's basically what it came down to a lot for me. Will says, I think for some people, it's another thing that's forcing them to think about stuff like this. Okay, they don't want anything to remind them of real life politics, such as gender and pronouns. You know, well, thank you for that. And I think it could be not only thinking about real life politics. I almost want to cut it in half and just say real life, real world. That some people just don't want to think about the real world, regardless to what your feelings are about people's choices. Whatever your feelings are, whether you support, whether you disagree, whether you feel conflicted, whether you're not sure, whatever the case is, you have to we have to accept the fact that it's real life. It's the real world. And whether you agree with it or not, I mean, there are a lot of things in the world I don't agree with, but I acknowledge them as existing, that they're out there, whether I like them or not, they're there. And that's just a reality. And so maybe to a degree of what you're saying, Will, is that we have to be willing to face reality of how our world is and what our world is. And maybe that's all it needs to be, right? Just being able to say, okay, well, that's just the way the world is, But it pains me to see that, some people want to politicize some things that really aren't political. They're not. There's nobody's preaching to people here. But people are just saying, if they're playing a game, I want to play the game the way. It's funny because, interestingly enough, Starfield's whole motto from Todd Howard was play the game the way you want to play it. I mean, that's his thing, right? And yeah, that's supposed to be part of the thing, being able to play the game the way you want to play it. But then we want to come outside and say, no, but you can't play it like this, right? We really actually do want to come back and push back, even though they say that playing the game the way you want to play it. So anyway, thanks for the comments, gang. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you kind of, but I'm wondering whether or not Star Citizen or Squadron 42 will have to deal with some of these hurdles. Are the graphics too good? If they decide to use a pronoun thing, will that be an issue? I hope not, because I'm really getting tired. Personally, I'm really getting tired of some of the stuff that people are arguing about, because it's like, I've said this before, but I came out of the time where gamers were about supporting gamers, man. We already had enough. We were called geeks and weirdos and strange and everything else. And part of the thing that was cool about being a gamer was that you were around other like-minded people who we found something common to hang in there with. And I've just kind of watched over the decades, man, that brotherhood, sisterhood thing has just been on the decline, man. We're just, I hope there's some hope. Let's just say that. Okay. I hope there's some hope. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about what's going on in the world of Star Citizen and RSI and Squadron 42 and all that stuff. We just got finished with Ship Showdown. We didn't finish, but Showdown culminated today. And the winner was crowned today on the 6th. And as many of you already know who the winner is, the winner was for 2953. Well, was intense, wasn't it? I don't know if it was intense, but it was interesting. Another Ship Showdown is in the books with more thrills, chills, spills, and property damage bills than probably ever before, or at the very least, comparable amount of all those things. We saw some of the old favorites returning to the tournament after extended absences, witnessed perennial showdown faces lose to some of the surprising opponents, and stood in awe as an utterly dominant Drake rookie class nearly ran the brackets. Ultimately, it did come down to Drake-on-Drake violence, with one of those rookies battling all the way to the final, and the Corsair edging out the Vulture to claim the ultimate prize and prove it's truly had the hearts of the people. Raise up a flagon of rum and discharge your firearm into the air. Corsair boosters, the day is yours. The top 4 ships will receive a limited edition paint option as an in-game poster, which will be distributed to all owners to these ships during the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo later this year. The Corsair will be available to fly free fly until September 30th to give everyone time to experience the glory of this year's Ship Showdown champion. We thank you for your votes, your time, and your enthusiasm. We'll see you next year. Until then, fly safe. Okay, so the community has spoken. First place, the Drake Corsair. Interesting. I almost didn't notice the fact that this competition did come down to 2 ships, the Vulture and the Corsair. I honestly, I was mixed about this because in the beginning there was a lot of Corsair yap when the Corsair came out. And then over the last few months, I've been hearing people complain about this doesn't work on the Corsair and that doesn't work on the Corsair. And the wings are, if they get hit, they get blown off too easily on the Corsair. And if you try to go in the hangar and forget to let your wing up, you'll tear up the Corsair. And I was always hearing all this stuff about the Corsair. The Vulture, though, on the other hand, I was hearing nothing but love and people liking, oh, I didn't know, I think I'd like salvaging, and wow, I'm going to go out and buy Vulture, and blah, 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 and the Vulture this, and the Vulture that, and oh, you can go, or you could put in 25 boxes in the Vulture, right? I was hearing all that, and I kept thinking, okay, well, the Vulture might win this thing. And lo and behold, the Drake Corsair came back, okay? 46,000 votes. She cleaned up, okay? Second place winners. Well, it is once again the Vulture takes number 2, the Drake, and then the Redeemer, Aegis takes 3rd place, and last but not least, thank goodness, the 600i. 600i is in there as well. You guys know I'm a big Origin fan, so I'm glad because 600i only has 2 paints and it needs another one. So I'm glad that the 600i is what, if you don't count the executive one, but I can't count that. So I'm glad to see that these were all the winners. Congratulations to all of them if you have them. The Corsair, it'll be nice. Plenty of people will probably take that out and do a lot of flying with it through the end of the month, and it will probably spark some people who were not interested in getting it. They will probably get it. Probably. I think they will probably have some sales. We'll see by the end of the month and see. But then again, IAE is coming up. Some people might just hold their wallet, which is what we would suggest you do. If you are interested in it, I would say hold your wallet. As always, we tell you that you can earn these ships in game. Always remember that you can earn them in game. So yeah, that's it. You know what, Elvin, I will say this. Though I do not own the Corsair, this is the one Drake ship. Well, it's not the one. I'm not going to say that. This is one of my favorite Drake ships. And I'm not a big Drake fan. But I'll tell you why I love this ship. This ship is the epitome of, what's the word I want to use? It's like a throwback. It's, what do you call it? Not steampunkish, but it is in a way. I know Drake kind of has the whole mechanical thing going on, but you remember when they put the trailer out for this thing? It was like you could hear the creaks and groans and all that. It made you feel like you're out at sea. I love that about that. I love the fact that it has all these, even though they are totally contrary to the time period, the fact that it has like these actual levers in it, in the elevator, you've got the up down lever, the one to go to the roof, that whole physical mechanical thing in there just really sets the tone for Drake to me. Don't get me wrong, I get in my little Origin and I got the nice little touch LED buttons and stuff. That's cool. But man, this ship just really harbors creaks and groans, and I love it. I really do. It looks like something that could be built within our lifetime. Yeah, it does. It does. It actually looks like this would be like if we were making something, to fly around in. Yeah, I just like this. Even with the, at first I thought I like the asymmetrical thing of it, but I thought the wings were kind of like, okay, that's just all fluff. But when this thing flies in, it all, remember in Star Wars when they fly in with the Imperial shuttles, those, every time those come in and the wings go up and it lands, it's just so cool. And this to me just kind of has that obvious influence from something like that. So I think the Drake Corsair is a great ship. I'm curious to see what it's going to look like on the internals, because it is supposed to have an exploration side to it. And right now there's nothing in there. There's no, what do you call it? There's no stations or anything showing what that will look like. So I am curious to see what it is. We know it's got the guns and everything and the missiles, but I do want to see how it's tricked out as an exploring ship. Okay. Let's see. We already know about these different rounds that took place. The Arrow beat out the Mirai. We know that. The Fury. Let's see here. What was it? Arrow beat out the Fury. Redeemer beat out the Scorpius. Vulture. I did have some issues with I think, and someone said this before, and I think they are right about this. We have so many ships out there. I do think that CIG should once you've won a year, you should not come back that next year. Maybe every 3 years you get to come back. That way the ships get the excuse me, get the rotate, because there were some ships in here that I really would have liked to have seen elevate up a little bit higher. Scorpius and Redeemer was an interesting match, but different ships to me, a little bit heavier toward the Redeemer than the Scorpius thing. This one, you know, Salvager against Salvager, okay, you know, but two different classes of ships, so, you know, I don't know about that one either. This one was a little bit of a disappointment too because of the differences in these. Carrick, obviously, a lot of love for it. People really tried to give the Terrapin that love to push it forward, especially because they knew the Carrick had won a couple of times. So people were really willing to go ahead and say, hey, the Terrapin has gotten no love. At least give it a paint job. It hasn't, you know, it hasn't gotten a rework, but at least give it some paint, you know, and it pushed through. But that was going to be a tough one, right? Let's see, the next match after that, we saw what happened here. MSR, once again, had gotten a lot of love, but the Corsair, new ship, no love yet, so people gave it that. Connie Andromeda over the Drake. A lot of people were surprised about this one, but I wasn't. Cuddy Black, well-loved favorite, but the Connie rose to the challenge on that one. Here was a tough one because I'm an Origin lover. I really was willing to go with both of these, but because I know that the 400i had more paints available, I voted and wanted the 600i to win that one. When we got to match 8, this got a little bit tougher for me. I knew that the doggone Cutter was going to win because it's just loved by everybody as a starter ship. And the 890 is just one of those ships that a lot of people, they may think it's cool, but a lot of people don't own it. Even owners who have it don't fly it because it doesn't, I'm going to say they don't fly it. They don't really do very much because of the fact that a lot of its features are not in. So the Cuddy ended up edging that one. Even though I did want the 890 to get something. 890 has no paints at all. None ya. And the Cutter does have plenty of paint. So I was a little not happy about that, but I understood. Okay, Arrow pushes out against the Redeemer. Redeemer wins that one, which I was a little surprised about because a lot of people like to pilot the Arrow, and they do everything from, you know, the low flying and everything else, but the Redeemer pushed through on that, which was interesting. Vulture versus Terrapin. I knew the Vulture was going to take it at this point because once again, the Vultures, people are really taking a hand to it. People who didn't think they'd like salvaging got into it a lot. So there you go. Once again, Corsair against Connie. I was hoping the Connie would push through, but first thing in the morning, they were 1 vote apart. About 2 hours later, they were 2,000 points apart. I was like, okay, forget it. Corsair is going to take it, which it did. And then 600, is it 600 against Cutter? Is that right? Yeah, 600 against Cutter. Yeah. This one I was a little surprised with. I think people felt for the 600, especially because they know the rework is coming, and people who know the rework is coming want the new paints. And again, the Cutter already has plenty of paint, so I think that the Granddaddy there beat that one out. Then, of course, we got to round 3, and Redeemer versus Vulture. Vulture, weirdly enough, it was really surprised the Vulture pushed through that one. Again, much liked. And here, Corsair against 600. Corsair, the two new guys, they beat out the old standbys. And so then we got to round 4. That was the face-off. So there we go. Okay. Other than that, we saw the archives. That's it. On Ship Showdown. Boy, it's a lot of information. Whew, it's already 1 o'clock. Okay, what do we got here? It's a flight model. That's a challenge for me. Yeah, you know, we got to see how the flight model is. I've flown the Corsair just a couple of times. I haven't taken it out like a really to test it out and fly it. But people who like it, they like it, especially with those guns on it. Admiral, I would like to have jumped in earlier, but Twitch Mobile doesn't display your links. Twitch Mobile doesn't display the links? Oh, I'm sorry. That's kind of weird. Sorry about that. Okay. Let me move on to Ship Showdown. You guys know that today is the last day for the free fly. They had this thing of the test fly, the 8, that started on the 1st, where people could fly any of the 8 top ships that were in the tier. And so if you were interested in any of these, there was a free fly for them. And of course, if people wanted to purchase them, they were also available for sale. these ships were all available till today. Today is the last day. So if you want to test fly just to have for lulls and have fun, go out there and fly them. This is the day to do it. After today, they will all be back gone. You won't be able to buy them unless you own them. You won't be able to fly them except for the Corsair. The Corsair will be available until the 30th of the month. You'll be able to fly that. Okay. Let's see. We already know what the prices are for these ships, so I'm not going to go through all of that. This is still a pretty good deal. $45 for a Pisces starter pack. That's the regular Pisces. Yes, not the exploration version. Okay. Alrighty. Forgive me for the yawns, guys. I'm tired. I was up really early this morning. I had to do a conference call at 8 a.m. Wore me out. Has CIG said what the winner's color schemes will be? No, they haven't, because usually they base those colors around, well, it depends. Sometimes they do. They base the colors around the colors that they set for IAE. So we'll have to see, Elvinthy, but I haven't seen anything. Now, maybe somebody else has. If somebody in chat knows what the colors are this year, go ahead and drop it in. But usually we wait to see what that banner looks like, and we kind of get a clue to what it might be. Okay. Let's move on to talk about the PTU a little bit here. Let me get some water, guys. Forgive me. And again, if you guys want to come in and chat, feel free. You can do that. The PTU was at waves 1 and 2. Now, there was a message that went out yesterday that CIG said that they were trying to open up to wave 3 yesterday, and I thought that they did. Now, this came out at 2:54 in the afternoon, and they said by the evening, this is around like 5:30, they were saying, oh, they're going to, within the next half hour, it's going to go to wave 3. If anybody knows if it's in wave 3, let me know. I have not tried to log in, and I guess I could try and see if wave 3 is in. But let's talk about what's done. These are the known issues. This has been slowly getting chopped down, and then also having some things added to it as well. We've already talked about features last week, so I'm not going to go all into that, but I'm going to talk about what they have put out that's new. There's a new gameplay feature. Added a combat logging timer. With 3.20, we have added a new combat logging mechanic to avoid as much of this issue as possible. With this updated mechanic, while a player is in combat and outside of a green zone, the player and their ship will remain in the PU for a short period after exiting the game fully or to the menu. This also comes with a warning while exiting to menu to make sure that you are in a safe area before leaving, as it will leave your ship and your character vulnerable at the location left on the server. Added option to allow comms calls from only friends. Now, let me get to that in a minute. We have been asking for this for quite a while. I play Mortal Kombat online with some friends, and when I play Mortal Kombat, they have 2 different logout timers. One where if you're in a town, which is a green zone or a safe zone, you can log out, and it happens either fairly quickly or within like 30 seconds or 10 seconds. It's pretty quick. But if you are out in the wilderness, if you are outside of a town or village, the countdown timer is 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Which means you either hide in the bushes or climb up a tree or something like that. Or if you're out in the middle of a field, nobody's around you, nothing's around you, because a wandering animal could get you. But if you log out, you'll see that timer go down, and you've got to wait there 2 minutes to get out. People have been asking for this in combat because, as you guys know, quite often someone's in combat, they don't want to fight or whatever the case may be, or they've got a bounty on them, and so they just decide to log out. Person's a bounty hunter chasing after them. They've been working real hard to find the person, and the person just goes away. Okay, they're getting rid of that. Yeah, it is standard, Elvinthy. Like I said, we've been asking for it for a while. I was just describing it because some people may not know what a combat timer is. But we are glad that it's in here. I don't know what the length of time is on it, whether it's 30 seconds, a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes. But I will be checking it out today and seeing how long it takes to log out of the game when you're in outside space area. I'd like to know that for myself. But it only kicks in when you're in combat, it looks like. It doesn't kick in outside of that. So if nobody's messing with you, you can log out like usual. But if you're in combat, be prepared. They added an option to allow comms calls for only friends. Now, some of you may know this. They added a new social. Under options, under social, there are some new options there. You can either say block invites or group requests. You can say I only want them from friends, or no invites at all. You can set all that now. And now they've actually added something for comms calls. You guys know what that is, right? When you're in your ship and someone is trying to reach you or call you, where their image of their avatar will pop up. Some people were getting spammed with that. Some people were harassing people with that. And so now they've made it so that if you want to make it so just only your friends can utilize that, you can put that in there. Elvin Thee, yep. Okay, nothing new there. Okay, cool. So that's a cool feature. Some quality of life features that are nice that they're putting in. This one here was one that was really nice. I did get to test this out last night. Ships and vehicles feature update. Ship quantum HUD alignment. We've done a full pass on all ships to make sure that all the quantum HUDs have been properly aligned in view. Along with this, much of the quantum UI has been removed to be much cleaner and remove unnecessary elements until a full future quantum HUD update. As this is different in all ships, if you see that if you see any that you believe are not quite right still, let us know write up a ticket, okay, in the issue council. Now, this is what's cool about this. I got in my 100i last night to check this out. When you get in now in the HUD, you guys remember how when you would want to do a quantum jump, you'd have that ring pop up, that one was a dotted ring on one side and it would kind of be spinning. And then you would have your calibration rate, which would be going up slowly on the right. And then you would have the other one, I forget what the other one's called, the spool up would be going across here. And once both of those reached their peak, then you could go. Then when you were quantuming, you'd have that circle still in the middle kind of doing its spin thing. They took that circle completely out. It's gone. Hallelujah. Gone. So now you have a much cleaner HUD. And like if you're looking to fly somewhere, a planet, a moon, you can see it. It's not blocked by that anymore. The other thing that's nice is all you have now, so can you still hail people in the game through ship comms? Yeah, you still can, as long as they're your friend, you can hail them, Shady. As long as they're your friend. Well, if you set it that way. Now, if you want to leave your thing open for anybody to call you, you can do that too. But as far as the comms, now I don't know if that happens. Like if you're, you know how you can target someone and you're trying to hail them because you're like trying to do piracy or something. Now that's a good question. If that's what you're asking, that's a good question. I would think that they've got it. We'll have to find out. That's a good thing to go test, right? Let's go into the testing and find out. Back to the quantum thing. So now what happens is all you have is that one bar on this side that goes up and the bar up here that goes up. That's all that's there. That's all that was there. All I had to do was get my marker just in that general direction, locked on, and it locked on. So you don't have to deal with that thing with your HUD being too high or too low. It's really nice now. Believe me, another quality of life piece that's good. Let's talk about the Argo Mole. The Argo Mole pilot improvement. Now, there was some rumors going out about this yesterday. My understanding is that people thought that they were going to put in the ability for the pilot of the mole to run that center laser. And there was some disappointment. There was some disappointment because that wasn't what it was. What it said is the added ability for the pilot in the Argo Mole to use the ship's mining scanners. This will not allow the pilot to use the lasers from the seat, but will give the pilot the much needed information directly while scanning minables. As you guys know, that what they did was they had changed it, and scanning was the only people who could scan for like minerals and rocks were the people that were in the lasers. The pilot couldn't do it. The pilot could do a general scan for other stuff, but couldn't scan for resources. Now they've got it so that the pilot could do it. So now you don't have to have the guys downstairs yelling, hey, there's a rock over here. Blah, blah, blah. Now the pilot can look for the rocks and make it a little bit easier on the pilot. Okay. And then last but not least, now I don't know what this is. I don't own the Corsair and I don't know what the original internal storage was, but it says that they greatly increased the internal storage of the Drake Corsair. So for you Drake Corsair owners, maybe you can let us know whether it's gone from 25,000 to 100,000, but they say greatly. And it is a decent sized ship, and it makes sense that a ship that's supposed to be an explorer will have a decent internal inventory. Let's see, Shady, what you got here. So if I'm trying to communicate with someone to warn them of pirates and they have that set to friends only, I can't. That is a problem. Well, that's it's a problem because it's going to be up to that person if they want to set it that way. And I get it. And this might be just one of those tightrope things, Shady, that 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You know, if you're getting harassed by people and someone's bothering you all the time, you know, I can see why you would want to put it up, but also understanding that if I do that, if you're not my friend and you're just trying to be the nice person out there who's saying, hey, don't land it so and so, there are pirates there, you know, because you know that they're going that way. And I can't get that message. Well, it's kind of like as if I were to lock myself on a certain radio channel, right? And you're trying to call me on a general channel. That's going to be my decision to make. And maybe it'll be the thing where I'll just have to only do it when I'm being harassed and make sure I put it back out, you know, disable it when I'm playing the game any other time. I mean, you're not getting harassed 24/7, you know, and I'm sure that if people realize that they're trying to harass somebody and it's not going through, they may give up. But yeah, it could be a problem. I agree with you there. Okay, bug fixes. They've been knocking these out, like I said, but they have added a few new ones. Character becomes invisible due to not being bound on their client's machines. They have fixed that. The whole CPU, the vehicle's viscera issue on the main elevator has been fixed. Let's see. Aegis Hammerhead ships audio. When docking, the audio can become stuck in a loop and loudly blast through the front of the ship's decks. I know that on the 890 the other day, was it 890? Yeah, I was docking, and you guys know when you do the docking procedure, you get that beep that goes going boop, boop, boop as you go. And that thing was beeping, beeping, beeping. And when I docked, normally it cuts off, and it didn't. It kept ringing the whole time when I was on the ship. So that was kind of a pain. No, that's what it was. It was the whole seat. Thank you, Elvin C. It was the Elvin C. Rather, it was the whole C. I said Elvin C. because I said whole C. But no, it wasn't the 890. Thank you. That problem did exist on there. Fixed interaction. Interaction mode does not work properly with custom bindings, buttons 4 and 5. That's interesting. On the mouse. Okay, I have to see that. Fixed misaligned inventory items on widescreen resolutions. Okay, I had this issue on my widescreen when you hit I and do your inventory. And you know how you usually have like 6 lines of stuff going across? Your 6th line, if you had an item there, it would hang beyond the border of the inventory box. So if you had a gun, the barrel would be sticking outside of the inventory box. So they fixed that. Excuse me. Arena Commander. These are all AC. Lobby UI lobby no longer works for the player when the host exits the main menu during a match. Probably meant the other player. Okay, I'm not sure. Completely get that, but I get what they're saying now. Before, I guess if the person who started the lobby left, the other players could still change things. And I guess you can't do that anymore. Front end UI, player names will be duplicated after joining a lobby and counted twice on the client side. Okay, they fixed that. In the classic race, the map selection menu is not displayed by default, so now they fixed that. In the classic race, lap counts were wrong in the offline mode. They fixed that. In Star Marine, Last Stand, the visual effects, there is a chance that the capture boxes are not showing the correct size and not showing some of the criteria. I have not done Star Marine since they've done the enhancements yet, so I've got to monkey around there and see what that's about. All right, they fixed 2 client crashes, 1 server crash, and they replaced ocean tessellation with screen size based resolution to improve planetary performance. I have no idea what that is. I know what tessellation is, but I don't know what unless they're just talking about the ocean water or something that's changed now, so it moves better. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's see. Nobody said anything new in chat, so let's move on. Close this out and go here. Okay, roadmap roundup. This was as of yesterday. Roadmap roundup. We know every 2 weeks we get these. These are the notable changes. There weren't a lot of notable changes, but there was something of interest here, and that is for the release view 3.20. They are building, implementing, and balancing the Mirage Snub Racer, the Fury LX, as a game-ready vehicle. So here's the surprise. 1, the LX is going to be included in 3.20. Some of us were wondering whether it was going to debut at CitizenCon, but evidently they're releasing it early. Second thing, Not only is it going to be released, it's going to be game ready. It's ready to go. We guys know this is the racing variant of the Fury. When we saw LX before, we were thinking luxury, and we were questioning why would they make a luxury version of the ship, because it's supposed to be about performance. But this is the racer. The cool thing is that I heard 2 days ago, CIG posted on X or Twitter, whatever the name of it is nowadays, that there were people who saw the LX racing at the racetracks. The devs took it out there, and I guess some players were out there, and you could see this thing out there. You know, every once in a while, I love when CIG does this. They haven't done it in a while, but I love when there's a ship coming and the devs fly it into a game, so players can see it. Or I was playing one time something, and I think it was the Mole or something. Something came in that we hadn't, or the Mantis that we'd never seen before. It was so cool. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll go into a content creator stream, and you know, the content creator is talking and doing something. Then all of a sudden, you know, this new ship flies in, and everybody goes crazy, right? It's like, there it is, and everybody's trying to screenshot and record it. But I always think that's a very cool marketing thing that they do to get folks kind of pumped up, you know, a little pumped up about it. So anyway, the LX is going to be in 3.20. Let's see. And then they talk about the progress chapter a little bit here. There's nothing new here, but they do just let you know that with this published, we've added Q3 schedules to the North American PU gameplay feature and vehicle gameplay teams. Feature teams. These are existing deliverables previously on the progress tracker and are now simply being reallocated. Additional deliverables will be added once their schedules are out. So that's it. Not much here on the roadmap, but racing has been blowing up in the game. I have yet to go out and do the racetracks. Everybody who says, "Oh, I'm going to go try racing," goes out and does it and comes back saying they had so much fun. The only thing I've gone and done is the golf carts over at Microtech. So I need to get into a ship and go out and do some flying. Maybe I'll do. Maybe I'll take my Fury out there, or something like that, or a P-52 or something like that, and go out and fly it. That ought to be pretty exciting. Okay. All right. So that's it for Roadmap Roundup. Last but not least, I heard about this the other day, and I remember a couple of months back they did this. It popped up in the pick of the week, sneak peek. The sneak peek, and we called it out and said it was a chance die, because, you know, it was definitely a throwback to Star Wars and everything, and we were like, oh, that's like their version of the same thing. But here we go. Surviving in the verse can be a game of chance, and sometimes it's hard to choose which patch to follow. Luckily, September's Flare has you covered, whether you're making a difficult decision, rolling the dice, or calling it a day and cuddling up for the night. And wherever fate leads you, you're in good hands with the latest ship of the month. Built for deep space exploration, long safe travels, the Drake Corsair is your ticket to adventure. The Flare will be available in 3.20's live patch. Okay. This is it. Put your future in the hands of fate, the subscriber exclusive games of chance. Now, you guys have heard me talk about Flare before, and my attitude about Flare is it's nice to get little cute cosmetics, things that'll be nice to set into my little glass display case, or something that when my people come and hang out in my hangar, they see. But I really, 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 really want CIG to make sure that these items have a purpose in the verse. I'm not talking about the like Hornet model that you can get for Flare, right? That maybe it's a drone that you can fly it around. No, I get that. That's designed to be like a trophy and something that you sit on your desk or in your cabinet display case. That's fine. But when you get items like this, I would really want them to actually make this thing do something in the game. Now, of course, making it happen is no easy task. But to be able to say that I can actually carry this with me, and if I want to gamble at a casino or use it as a point of decision amongst my teammates, to actually be able to pull this thing out and have it in my hand and roll it, or touch it and the lights flash, instead of just rolling it, maybe the lights flash and then the lights land at a certain place, and that's yes or no, or, you know, whatever the case may be. I want it to be functional and something that it can be doing in the game, as well as be a piece of flair. So this 6-sided die houses a rotating sphere covered in blue and red lights. When rolled, okay, it says you roll it, one of these two colors will display on the upper face of the die, helping the user make Binary decisions. All right. Yes or no. 1 and 2. Go or stop. Okay. That's it. Current Centurion level subscribers get a chance cube as a part of their subscription. Okay. So there we go. Oh, they've got different color versions of it too. There's a set, 6-sided roll set. That's interesting that they actually made a set of these. Okay, and they're doing a 20-sided plushie. Okay, interesting. I thought that was just there for artwork. Now, okay, ready to roll. Make your randomly generated numbers a little more squeezable with these plush icons, icosahedrons in red, green, and blue. Each surface of each large die features different, easy to read numbers. All right, that's going to be in 3.202. So there's all of it. Okay. I start racing when I learn how to land without crashing. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the plushie looks kind of cool. I agree. It's a good throwback for my D&D thoughts too. But I also like the futuristic version as well. And they do have numbers in this here. So that's interesting. So the die set has sides. Okay. I didn't notice that at first. There are numbers on that, and then this is just color based on the chance cube. So you've got a chance cube set, then you've got a die set, and then you've got the plushie set. All right. Somebody decided to do a little extra this month. All right. There's our Corsair for the vehicle of the month. And of course, some subscriber stuff if you guys want some subscriber things. What have they got this month? Okay, the mugs, the Drake shirts, the footies, the bags, and the drinking. Okay. All right. That is that. Okay. All righty. 123. We're doing pretty good here. We can play D&D. Yeah. Yeah, you can play D&D on the chess table there on the MSR, right? That would be the thing to do. Okay. All righty. Well, as you guys know, today is Thursday, and today is Thursday Therapy. And so I'm going to go and let's bring us there to Thursday Therapy. And let's go back and talk about what we opened up the show with. I know Admiral Kusanagi, I don't know if he's still here, but I do know he said that he wanted to say something earlier, which is why I just said, well, we'll come back to it later. But I was asking earlier about, and as I mentioned, the last few weeks, I've been talking about the psyche of gamers, like where our heads are, and particularly when it comes to Star Citizen. And we talked about the fact that we're in that development lull before CitizenCon, which happens all the time. We're also in the general lull of gaming industry where during the months of July and August and September even, things are usually pretty quiet. But the cool thing is that Baldur's Gate and Starfield have kind of lifted some of that and gotten folks' minds into a different space of where they're playing right now. People seem to be pretty happy with that. My question for you today, and again, if you want to come in and talk about anything about Star Citizen or Squadron 42, your thoughts, your feelings, attitudes towards CitizenCon coming up, anything like that, click on the link. It'll put you in the queue, and you can come in and express your thoughts and talk with me about it. But I do want to ask this question as we are approaching CitizenCon with the launch of Starfield, especially because we're past early access. If you've got the game, whether it's early access or you bought it regular, you have access to it now. Maybe you've played it, you've put in some hours. Maybe you've only put in a couple hours. Maybe you've put in 150 hours. Has Starfield done anything for you that gives you a different perspective about Star Citizen? As the development of Starfield, the game, you've got it in your hand, you're playing it. Has it done anything for you? How does it make you feel now in relation to Starfield and Star Citizen? Does it affect your expectations? Are you looking at Starfield as a different game completely? Are you seeing things in Starfield that you think will be really cool if they do this in Squadron 42 too? Or are some things in there that maybe you hope that they don't do? And I will keep it within Squadron 42 because that's what we're looking forward to doing. It's difficult to say Star Citizen because one's a single standalone playing by yourself. The universe is other people, other factors involve it. But if you've got any thoughts about that, I would love to see what you have to say. Let's see if anybody's got anything here. No, nobody's got any feelings about Starfield. That's interesting. 4-star citizen right now. Nobody's in chat. Okay. Well, I'm going to say this, and if nobody says anything, that's cool. Believe me, it's up to you to come in if you want, or type something in if you want. Um, I I am when I play Baldur's Gate, I play Baldur's Gate, and I still come back to play Star Citizen a little bit. And I'm curious to see when I play Starfield, will I do the same thing? I read a Spectrum post last week where a guy talked about the fact that, or was it Reddit? He talked about the fact that he's playing both. That even though he's enjoying Starfield, he still puts in the same amount of time in Star Citizen. That he's enjoying playing both. One has not drawn him from the other. So I hope for me when I play it that's how I feel too. I'm really holding back on Starfield. I'm ignoring. I go in and talk to some friends. How you guys playing the game? Are you enjoying it? And everybody's like, yeah, we're having a good time. I'm like, okay. Don't tell me nothing. I don't want to know anything about the game. But I am happy to hear that people are enjoying the game. And every game's going to have its criticisms. Everybody's going to be able to, in retrospect, when they step back from it, say some things that they think could be better or different. But right now, it seems like Starfield is doing good and Bethesda is doing good as well. So I hope those of you who are playing Starfield are thoroughly enjoying yourselves. Let's see. Vengeful. Good to see you, buddy. Vengeful says, I haven't had a chance to play Starfield much, only an hour so far. Okay. I said I was going to go in and at least do my character creation, and I might do that this weekend so I can just kind of have it ready to go when I'm ready. I'm going to avoid pushing play because I know if I start down that rabbit hole, I'm going to be frustrated. So I'm going to wait, but I am going to do that at least. Elvin Thief says Starfield will up the expectations for Squadron 42. That is an interesting observation. Will it be the standard that and I know even those games are a little bit different. They're not different in the sense that they're single RPG games. Let's see, who is that? Anti-Tank Dev. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, I think the Starfield will, we talked about whether or not is CIG watching. Yes, they're watching. They've said they're watching. And Chris Roberts even said at the Bar Citizen over in Asia that he's looking forward to playing Starfield. Are they watching it to see what they can learn? I think that marketing is definitely watching. I think marketing is definitely paying attention because, as you guys know, Bethesda did a huge marketing campaign for this game. Huge marketing. The 45-minute trailer that they did where we got to go in and watch them was a big deal, but they've also really, really, really done a lot with marketing. Their freaking Twitter account has been just lighting up almost every day with stuff about the game. And keeping it in the forefront of gamers' minds. It's not like drifting away. The modders have done a tremendous amount of work too. Magazines, the industry publications have been talking. So there's been a lot of attention toward it, and I'm sure CIG is paying attention to how their marketing campaign is going. As far as development goes, my attitude about that is that CIG is on CIG's own path. You can't get too distracted by what other people are doing. You have to be aware of what they're doing. That's smart for business, right? Every business pays attention to what another business is doing. But if one cookie manufacturer decides to put a little bit more sugar in theirs, it doesn't mean you need to do that in yours. So, I think that they're on their track of what they want to present, and I think they're confident about what they want to present. I think that community feedback is always there for them to listen to. And we know that there are times when the community suggests something and they embrace it. And there are other times when the community says something, they say, we appreciate your opinion, but we got this. And that's the way it should be. I think that they're not going to be swayed to any big degree by both the community or game publishers and developers, unless they just see some crazy trend that happens that makes them do a double take and say, whoa, what's going on? But I think that they know what they're doing when it comes to things like that. Daredevil, good to see you, buddy. Starfield is good, but it's not and will never be Star Citizen. Yeah, it's not, and it's not intended to be, right, Daredevil? It's its own thing. It's a Bethesda game, and it needs to ring and be reminiscent of what they do, whether it's Skyrim or whether it's Fallout. That's their franchise, and that's why people like Bethesda games, because their games are kind of not they're not old reliable, but they're what you expect, and it's what you go there for with Bethesda, and they've been the kings queens of that. That's their thing that they do, right? So I'm glad Starfield is good. I'm glad it didn't flop, and I'll tell you why I'm glad that Starfield has not flopped. I'm glad it hasn't flopped because we've had so many disappointments from the AAA producers, and particularly with Microsoft being behind them. Because there's a general sentiment that once the big corporations buy you out, once EA buys you out or Sony or Microsoft, then the quality of the games are going to be compromised due to schedules, due to investors, that we're not going to see a good game. And we have seen a couple of the big companies faux pas and mess up by putting stuff out too soon. And it hurt us. And it hurt us psychologically as much as it hurt us financially. Gamers got very cynical. And so people are already cynical about Microsoft in general. So the fact that Microsoft's behind this, the fact that Bethesda's behind this, the fact that it gives Bethesda breathing room behind after what happened with Fallout 76, which is an indifferent game too, but still, gamers remember there was a lot of prophesying that this game's going to be buggy as heck and the launch is going to be horrible. That was not the case. Thank goodness. Not saying that there weren't bugs, but it wasn't at the level that people thought it was going to be. So good for Bethesda. Good that they put in the time. Good that they canceled 11/11/22. It was supposed to be November of last year that this game was supposed to launch, and they bit the bullet and said we're going to push it back till third quarter of 2023. And a lot of people were quote unquote upset, but evidently all that's water under the bridge now. Nobody's talking about how upset they were. AAA games is a hollow title for me now. Yeah, it generally means a shiny yet shallow game that is overpriced. Yeah, I can understand. Well, again, here I am talking about us being cynical, right? I mean, AAA used to mean something. It wasn't just about quality. It was quality. It was the budget. It was the amount of energy put into the game, the depth. A lot of that was what AAA meant. AAA meant that it was the big boys, right? It wasn't the indie developers. Indie games can come out and they may last you, 6 to 8 hours, maybe last you 12, 20 hours. When you got the AAA people, you were looking at games that are lasting you 20 hours, 40, 50, 80 hours of gameplay, right? Something with a lot of depth and stuff to it. And also the visuals and, the big orchestras and soundtracks. I mean, all of that was a part of being a AAA game manufacturer. But I will agree with you, Elvin Thea, it has been tarnished by what they've been producing. And in many cases, it's sad, that's where we feel as gamers that we look now to the indies to develop the games that will really entertain us and give us the satisfaction that we want, and that we don't expect it necessarily from the AAA publishers anymore. It's kind of a sad thing. Maybe they'll get on the stick now. Maybe they'll see it's worth the wait. Maybe they'll find out that it's worth the wait. And it's not always about, satisfying your corporate schedule for your investors, your ROI. But we'll see. We'll see what comes out of this. Okay. Well, if that's it. That's all I've got for today. I had a great conversation with you all. I really appreciate you all being here. Always appreciate the enlightening statements in chat. Thank you guys for those who followed, those who subscribed. Thank you again for those of you who continue to support me as I do this on just Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've not committed to going much more beyond that because life keeps me busy, but I appreciate your support for being here. Thank you guys for supporting me also with Soul Citizens. Don't forget tonight is Soul Talk with Fastcard. He'll be on at 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Also, don't forget our Saturday show, Soul Voices, that I'm on 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then this Sunday, we're doing a show called Merchandise Mart. We're going to be going back and give you the history of merchandising for Star Citizen and RSI and CIG and Squadron 42 and show you all those cool things that you never saw, that you didn't get to buy, that you didn't get to spend money on, and you're going to be thankful that you didn't spend money. But there are some cool items from the past and the present and the future that we're going to share with you guys and talk about and have some fun conversations and also talk about what you would like to see CIG produce in the area of merchandise. So hopefully you guys can join us this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Soul Citizens. Yeah, that's it for me. Let me see who we have. Who's, you know what? Let me see, get my mouse moving here. Where's my mouse? There it is there. Let's see who I can send you all to with love. Who's on right now? Midday. Pardon me. So many people are playing Starfield.
I have given much.
Oh, let's see. There's Avenger 1. Aldo's on. Burks is on. Meyer is on. Oh, Meyer's on. Oh, it's a different Meyer. I was going to say Meyer's been playing something else. I was going to be like totally shocked if Meyer was in here playing. I'm going to send you guys over with love to, let's go over to Aldo Brink. We're going to do Aldo Brink. Yeah. So when you guys get over to Aldo, let Aldo know that you came over from Griff. Aldo Brink. And make sure I spell it right so that I send you guys to the right place. Last time I sent you guys into oblivion. But anyway, thanks again for being here, gang. Hope you guys have a really good weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy 3.20. Get in there and do some testing so we can get it out to everybody into live. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Don't forget, as always, peace, love, and soul. We'll see you soon. Take care.